We've set up a small demonstration area here for you today to show you how easy it is to implement this particular irrigation system in the field. And we're going to be able to show you that you can use two different delivery types of irrigation pipe, either PVC pipe or a standard polyethylene tubing that could be used to hook into the drip irrigation system. So Eric, we've got the poly tubing is the one that is hooked up into the beds here. Tell us a little bit about how you've got this set up to demonstrate.
Well, Bob, here we have a very simple irrigation system. We are coming off a faucet with a garden hose. One piece that is here that is very important is a pressure regulator, because the pressure in the pipe in the drip irrigation has to be between 10 to 12. And then we have the different drip irrigation tube connected, one in each bed. As you mentioned, we can use either the poly pipe here or the PVC pipe here. What is the advantage and disadvantage? The main difference is really that you cannot drive over the PVC pipe. Therefore, either it's going to have to be buried or you're going to have to do all your work manually. The preferred option, if you're going to bring in tractors, is going to be to use the poly pipe.
And I know in working with small farms that some of the really small operations might be using PVC, but for all practical purposes, we're really talking about poly pipe. And we've got a very small poly pipe delivery system here because we only have 3 rows that we're going to be feeding, and this 1/2-inch tube is plenty enough to deliver these 3 rows. But they would be able to go up to much larger pipe delivery systems depending on the size of the field that they're trying to utilize. So it's not uncommon to have maybe 2 inches, 3 inches, or 4-inch manifolds here of the poly pipe as it goes across. It's also, in our situation here, we've chosen to use the drip irrigation under a plastic mulch system, and these two work really well together to help manage weed control and conserve the moisture and so forth. But let's open up this bed and see what it looks like underneath here where the drip irrigation has been operating. Now in this system, we've only been irrigating for about 2 hours. We had good moisture in the bed to start with, and so we've been able to wet a pretty good part of that bed, but it doesn't look like we've irrigated all the way across to the edge. Should we expect to be able to do that?
Well, in reality, no, because we have so sandy soil that the moisture tend to stay close to the drip tape and then go down rather than move laterally away from it.
The other thing that we've chosen to do here is that we've buried this pipe, buried the drip tape, and that helps it from staying in, helps us to keep it in place. If we put it on the surface, if it's in a little groove, that's adequate, but sometimes underneath the plastic on the surface, it'll tend to snake, as we say, when the temperatures go up and down and make it get out of line with the bed itself.
Bob, I noticed that the stripes are at the top. Is there any right way or wrong way to lay this drip tape?
It is recommended for the drip tape to have the emitter holes facing up, and that is mostly important in helping us to prevent clogging. If the holes are down and there's particles that get in the drip tape, they'll tend to clog in that hole a little more quickly. So we recommend keeping it up, and that allows us to push the particles down to the end of the row and use a flush cap to get those materials out of the drip tape, and helps us keep the drip tape clean. Now in this situation, we have it on a bed that's covered with plastic mulch, but certainly you wouldn't have to use plastic mulch with the drip irrigation. And Eric, over here we've got one of the drip irrigation lines that's set up where plastic mulch has not been used. We got an open ground here.
Yeah, I see we are having a drip irrigation with 12-inch emitter spacing, again with the emitters facing up, not facing down. What's noticeable is that we only wet just a few inches on each side, and if I go and dig, here it's really dry. The water doesn't go very far. So that's going to affect the way you're going to plant your crops and the way you're going to irrigate.
So in these sandy soils, it makes it very challenging for us here in Florida. But on the other hand, if we were overhead irrigating, we'd have all of that extra water that we would need. So by focusing the water in the area where the crop is going to be grown, it's a really efficient way for small farmers to be able to make good use of the natural resource water in this case, and also to reduce their fertilizer inputs as well and still be able to grow a great crop at the same time. So small farmers are adapting this and having really good success with the drip irrigation systems on their farms.